This week we're going to be talking about Captain Abu Reed by Amin Matalk, directed by and written by Amin Matalk in 2007. The main character, Abu Reed, being played by Nadim Sawala Rana Sultan. Um, our main characters go as Abu Reed, Noir, and Murad. A very long and sad story short. Abu Raid works at the airport as a janitor, and one day he finds a captain's hat in the trash. As he's bringing it home, a kid sees him in his local, poorest side of town village, or the poorest side of town. One local kid sees him, and it's like, "Oh, are you a captain? Are you a captain?" And he keeps telling him no, but then he brings other kids, and they keep bugging him, and eventually, even though he's not a captain, he decides he wants to give these kids some joy, and he tells them all these stories, tells them stories about where he's flown around the world and like what he's done and who he is. But of course, one of the kids, Murad, knows that he's a janitor at the airport. Um, and then that gets revealed, and the kids are sad, but they still end up getting along. And then there's Noir, who's a real captain at the airport, who is Captain Abu Reed's friend. And then as the story goes on, the focus is less about the Abu Raid and like the stories and him pretending to be captain, and it focuses more on Murad um, and his abusive family and his household. We see many scenes of Captain or Abu Reed coming home and him hearing the noises of them fighting, and then he realizes, that's like, or he knows that's where Murad lives. And eventually, the kind of climax, or I guess the ending, is Abu Reed saves the kid. They make a plan, and the kid goes with Noir. She's a captain. She has a big fancy family house. So Murad, his brother, and his mother go with Noir in a car off and run away in the middle of the night. And Captain Abu Reed sits there and waits in the home for the dad, the abusive father, if I didn't make that clear, to come back home. And he gets killed. And then we see later that Murad, that poor kid who's being abused, gets to be captain. This movie is 100% a 5 out of 5. I mean, I just wanted to cry the whole time, and I loved everything about it. I wasn't expecting the progression of the story to go the way it did. I think after he was revealed to be, to not be a captain, to not be a pilot, I was like, well, where's the story gonna go from here? Are the kids gonna keep pretending to make stories with him? Is he gonna bring them to a pilot training camp? What's gonna go on? And then it shows like Murad, who wasn't even in the first few scenes, it shows that focus shift towards him, and I think that not only was that shift natural, but it was, I mean, at least to the cinema I've seen, unique. Like normally I feel like main character, boom, introduced, boom, stays. But Murad like comes up as this secondary character throughout the film, and I wasn't expecting him to be such a big part of it. I think the most like really hard hitting scene for me was at the end when the kid, the mom, and the brother jump into the car, and he says he's gonna kill you, and he's like, it's okay, whatever. And they drive away, and they show every single second of him walking up the stairs to Murad's house, opening the door, walking inside, sitting down, pouring a glass of water, waiting, watching for the door handle to move, and then of course waiting like for that, and like eventually the door handle opens and the abusive father walks in. It's like you get to see that whole entire tension build and everything that might be going through his head, and like kind of just him accepting his fate that he is going to be murdered by that abusive father. It's just it's heartbreaking and beautiful and wonderful, and that whole message of freedom reminds me of Watch That and the bike, like the pilot hat or the plane and the bike, like just wanting to escape, to be free. I think it's interesting how these two themes are kind of consistent with a more literal metaphor for like to escape their situation. I feel like maybe in a lot of Western cinema, it's not about that. It's like, oh, music is your escape from reality, but it's never like really wanting to leave. And then in these films, it's like a vehicle to literally leave. Like, I think that kind of shows the intensity of the situation a little more. But yeah, I love this movie. I'm going to watch it again, probably with a friend or something. It was fantastic. 5 out of 5.